Coming in here, how do I set up Lynx on Windows 10? So first of all, what is Lynx? Lynx is the thing that I've been using every time I do a search on the command line. What is Lynx? You can see it pulls up this text-based thing, and you can go find stuff and such. It's like really fast tool for really any kind of research. And if you want to actually open for some reason, if you like, here we go, links to mammal. If we go look at the mammal, you want to look at the actual web page, you just hit comma, and that'll open up a web browser for you. It'll open in the current web browser. It's really great, and I don't want to spend time talking about how to use Lynx right now. The question is about how to use it on Windows 10 specifically, and I'm going to stick with that answer so I can give you a quick answer. So first of all, Windows 10 does not support Linux. And although it's very possible that it's very possible that Lynx might work, the Windows 10 is not Linux, so you can't run it unless you have Linux. So the first thing you're going to have to do is install WSL2. I'll put it this way: you got to get Linux on Windows 10, and there's many ways to do that. I've actually done another series of videos out there somewhere you can go find about how to run Lynx and how to run Windows 10. So, in fact, I think I'm going to make a different video about that because it's so important to get Linux on Windows 10. So why don't you just go look for that other video? But the answer is you got to get Linux first. You can't just run it on Windows 10. As far as I know, it's an ancient Lynx is an ancient text-based browser. It's been around since, 80s, late 80s, early 90s. And I still use it a lot. There's another one, too, that's called W3M, which is probably better for beginners. And so, yeah, that's the answer. When you get it, then you need, I'm just going to say it. So once you get Linux on there, then you just need to do the normal install of Lynx. So just install Lynx with the package manager. I mean, you should know how to install the software at that point, right? So I think let me see which package this belongs to. TPKG -S Lynx. That'll tell me what it belongs to. Okay, so lynx-common looks like. So that means like if you would do, if you're a Debian-based user, which you should be. You should not be using Arch if you're a beginner. If you want to use Arch, fine, that's a different video. But you're not going to get a job with it. So fine, enjoy it. Apt install lynx-common. Once you get on there, that'll get it on the system. And then you have to configure the thing. And to tell you the truth, this is why I recommend W3M. I'm going to put a note here. You may actually prefer a W3M as a beginner. Because why? Because better. It has better base defaults, better defaults. It has this better bindings, it has Vim bindings and everything. So you actually like VM. They're very, very close to each other. Now I tend to tilt towards Lynx because I know it and because I have a configuration that uses it. And I like how it let me show you. So why do you like Lynx browser? So let me just show you. So one of the advantages, you see how it puts some white space here? You see that? So that's why I like Lynx better, just in case you're wondering. It seems to do slightly better at formatting in a readable way, and the whole point of a text-based browser is scanning really quickly, right? So I mean, let's try to do the same thing. Let's try. I can't do that search there. I'll probably try to do a different one. It's W3M, and then we could do. I'm trying to think how I would search with W3M. Wait, I see. I might be able to fix it really quick here. Let me see. This is DuckDuckGo. This is it doing the searches, right? Oh, hey, wait. Let's do this. Let's change. I don't know what this is going to do. So let's just try it. Let's change it to W3M and see what happens. Learn how to shell script, people. I'm telling you. Same exact question now using W3M. So here's W3M. little bit different format. But you notice how I can use my arrow keys to navigate right out of the box? You can't do that with links. All right. And you can get, it's more intuitive. Like you could go right on a thing and you could just click, hey, right, what is it? You can click enter and it follows it. You know what I mean? To go back though is annoying. I like using the back arrow. You have to do something else. I don't know even what it is. Is it B? I don't fucking, sorry. Whoops. I swore. I don't know. I'm stuck. I can't exit links. But anyway, you might find it more intuitive. But I have to mention it because reasons. God, I don't even know how to quit it. Is it Q? Okay, it's Q. I do Control C, Control D. It's just Q. So let's put that back before I forget. Yeah. So anyway, that's something you can do. But so what I'm trying to get at is you really, links is pretty much virtually unusable with default configs. Okay. So I'm going to just put that here. Links is virtually unusable with default config, because it has like all this cookie stuff. It was made at a time when people really, why is every number 1? Because it's Markdown. So links is virtually unusable with default config. The reason for that is because it was made at a different time when people didn't like cookies. Cookies were like the devil. And so, approving sites that weren't compliant with, security, it's like that. So it wasn't used. It just wasn't allowed, kind of thing. So why do you care? Well, because it's actually really hard to use links, in any usable mentionable. In fact, I'm trying to give you I probably don't want to do this, but let me try. So I have a bash recipe, and I don't want you to feel any shame doing this, but the answer is find someone else's config and use it. And there's no shame in doing this. This has been a standard thing in the Unix community since the dawn of time. That's why people maintain a .files repo on GitHub usually, because they put all their customizations, configurations, these kind of things, by the way, drive people like Linus Does Tech crazy, because there's so many options. But still, people's .files is kind of a mantra in the Linux and Unix world. It doesn't sit well with mainstream computer users who will tell you dumb things like, "Oh, why would anybody ever use a terminal? That it's 2021. We've got actual graphics browsers now, dummy." The entire community on Linus Does Tech was screaming at us the other night for that, but that's another story. And so still the .files. And in my case, there's another frustration I have with links too. So why I kept saying W3M if you're a beginner, right? The other frustration I have with links for beginners is that it doesn't have it's not an intuitive configuration setup. There's no JSON files, not into configuration setup. And it was originally designed. It was originally designed to be like for multi-user systems. And I know you guys don't know what that is, but some of you might. Is there anybody in the university right now that anybody at the university who might be using a single Unix system for the whole school or something like that, right? So I know that Pico CTF does this, at Carnegie Mellon, which is famous for their security training, whatever. But yeah, so it's not intuitively configured. So when you use it, you're like, well, why does it have this thing? Because it was originally designed to not allow people to do the customization. In fact, we did a project in the 90s to set up, bus schedules for teleport in Portland, Oregon, and people would log into a Unix system with no password using Telnet, which, if you know, it's fun, and then it would run it, right? Yeah. So anyway, so when knowing that, it's going to be frustrating, right? I'm actually going to give you a direct link to my files here. I did another video on this too, so I don't remember how relevant the other videos are, but I have probably at least 2 other videos on YouTube. If you do a search for links on all my videos, some of them are really old, but they might show you a little bit more about how to navigate it and stuff. So, but what I was going to try to get for you is the actual bash.rc file. Um, so again, it's in my dot files. So let's do that. Let's do. I'm trying to figure out how I can best do that for you. Give her dot. So this is a link to my dot files. And let's go ahead and do this. So we'll do this here. Ooh, lots of good questions coming in. This is great. Thanks, guys. Welcome. We'll get to them, I promise. So this is my dot files, but there's lots of dot files out there. You might want to look around at other people's. The dot file that you're specifically looking for, in my case, I have a script called lynx, and it's a little bit tricky because, and this is why I don't tell beginners how to use my lynx, because you have to understand a lot of basic things about bash scripting in order to understand why I do this. So first of all, I keep all my dot files in a GitHub directory, right? My dot files directory. Secondly, I actually take over the lynx command with my own version of it. So it's kind of like, a dream within a dream, kind of like, that kind of thing. So, and this is my lynx. This is what actually gets run. And you have to know shell. This is plain old POSIX shell. But what this does is it says, it takes over the lynx path. It changes the user agent. And I can't tell you how important this is. Once again, W3M if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner and all of this like freaks you out and your eyes glaze over, try W3M first. And then when you get brave and you know how to shell script and link, you actually know Linux, maybe give it a shot. Maybe give this a shot. This is a really great, tiny little, scripting project. So you have to set the user agent. The user agent is the thing that gets communicated from the web browser to the service to tell it how to draw and whether to draw and all that. And if you don't add this, things like dev.to, which is a site you probably shouldn't really read a lot on, and Quora actually still broken. But there's a number of sites that actually block links because they call it, and this is true, they call it a hacker tool. Because you can actually download an entire website and do all these fancy things with it because links can be scripted, and it has always been. So it's kind of been categorized in the dangerous things category. So if you have to kind of tell it, hey, I'm not really Lynx. Actually, I'm Safari. This is me pretending to be a Mac, because everybody knows Macs are very innocuous. You would never get hurt by a Mac. Okay, but I put a little links here just to have my kind of an inside joke to all the people who actually know. Anyway, so what does this script do? This script says if there's a links file in .config links, which is following the desktop Open Desktop Foundation standard for how you should manage your config files. One of the best things about NeoVim, by the way, I say a lot of bad things about NeoVim, but I really like that NeoVim started following this and putting stuff where they belong. There's a lot of Kubernetes projects that don't do that. So .config links, it says, hey, if I have a config file, go use it. And the way it uses it is it says, okay, make this into an environment variable, export it. And this is where links gets a little bit weird and old, because it in order to be configured, you have to set an environment variable before you run the program. Now you can do that from a single command line if you know what I'm talking about. You can set an environment variable and then run the code with that environment variable instead of passing an argument. If all of that's totally Greek to you, W3M, or stick with a graphic browser for now. You're not a bad person. You're not stupid. It's just small moves. Small moves. That's a quote, by the way. So we've been doing movies on artifactsrob.tv. We've been doing fast movies. It's been fun. So if you want to, hey, morning, Battlefields. I'm mad at Battlefields. So this is what this is. So this first configuration file right here is just general configuration, whether to do cookies and stuff like that, to auto accept them, et cetera, et cetera. And I do think there's a video where I went through all of the configuration. I'm not going to do that in this video, right? Because it's pretty involved, and I'll show you in a second. So right here we have the config. This is links.lss. This is like the predecessor to CSS. This is setting all the styles for links. This is all your colors. This is where I actually, if you don't set the colors, use the default colors, you'll see they're not very pretty. W3M, again, better default colors for beginners. And so, yeah, so that sets that. And then it says, hey, do I have a binary links? Let me see if I do. And that's what this is. That's what X is. Does this exist? Does it not exist? How about that? If it doesn't exist, say, hey, man, I cannot find the links binary. I don't know what you're talking about. And this was hard coded in here. I probably could have done it differently with like which links or something. You can't actually do which links here because what is it going to do? It's going to find my script, right? So if you know about pathing, executable pathing. And then we have an exec down here. Why isn't it an exec instead of just running the program? Well, the reasons for that is because I want it to take over the memory space and events of the current running script, in this case, program. That's what exec does. And you should always do that, by the way. If you are going to transfer, if your whole program is just setting another program up to run in any way, then you should always do an exec, because that will throw away the memory and resources and stuff like that of the previous one and give them to the new program, so it takes over the name and identity and events and everything. If you don't do that, when you're running links and you try to quit it or something like that with Control-C or something, those events will never make it to it because they're buried underneath it in a child process. So this is the way to do it. And then you set the user agent. That's a new thing I really like to. This says send all of the command line arguments. That's a standard way to pass all of the command line arguments of this script onto the next script, and that could probably get its own video. So again, this is my config. I'm briefly going to show you the actual configs, which are also stored in my dot files. Again, if your eyes are glazing over, W3M, right? So, or stick with your graphic browser. There's other ways to do it. People tell me they can search just as quickly with their graphic browser. I disagree, but there's some pretty damn mouse potato. I haven't seen him in a while. He does have a young child now, so he's kind of busy. But he's regularly challenging me. Oh man, I can browse just as fast as you with my own text by my graphic browser. Okay, fine. I don't care. We're not going to fight about it. All right. So, but let me just show you what this file looks like. So, hi, Z Bunny, and we got lots of people joining in the chat this morning. All right, so here we go. We got links.cfg. I mean, this file is so 1990s, even though, look at it, it shows they've been having modern commits to it and stuff. It's not insecure or anything, but see, look, the default file is like an user local lib links.cfg. No. If you want to, actually, you can try to symlink or change the master configuration file. That's how I made this, is I copied it. And I didn't remove all the comments. I probably could. I probably could simplify this file. One day, maybe I'll do that. Just like remove all this extra crap in here. But this is the only place the configurations are configured. Yeah, we've been talking about that. You missed it. You're late. Z-Show Bunny's asking about W3M. We just covered it. Rewind. Be kind. Rewind. We're gonna bring that slaying back. I tell you. All right. So items may be commented out by putting out blah blah blah. So anyway, if you actually want to understand links, you kind of have to read this long ass file that has its own format and everything. Again, if you don't like doing that, W3M, right? So, but because it's a little bit harder to do, it has include files and all kinds of shit. Start file, and I just set my defaults. That's my website, rbx.gg. At least the old one. I haven't updated it in a long time. I'm updating my Zettelcast, but not that, and videos. But my website's kind of. Eventually, it's going to be the static generated copy of my Zettelcast, just in case you want to. So here we go. We got links help here. It sets the default help files. It says you can put the default index file. That's the one it'll go to if you just open it with no arguments. This is a whirlwind tour here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep the video relatively short. Template files and shit. I mean, I don't do any of this. But you might, but it supports everything. It supports all this different. Oh wait, URL. Oh god. Ooh, local char set. Yeah, that's important. So this inherits the char set of your local computer. Links. I would not use links. So let's talk about that at the end. Ask me that question again if it gets scrolled off. I don't think it will, but so read it. You can read, right? I mean, I know you can. You just don't want to, but you have to because it's Linux. And Linux, you read. You have to read, people. RTFM. So this is the craziest one. Vim even has Vim even has special rules for this because it's been around for so long. So it actually will show you the color based on what the color is, which is cool because you can kind of get a sense of how it's going to appear when Lynx actually encounters that thing. This is super important because some of the base colors are like completely unreadable, particularly like Wikipedia and other things like that. So you might want to come in and customize it. Now, if you would rather not spend any time at all screwing around with the configuration, just copy mine. Just copy mine. So, or a friend's or someone else's who's got a cool one. It doesn't have to be mine. Sharing is caring in Linux. So here we go. This is the file, right? It looks like it got copied there, and it's not a symbolic link, and that's because I have a setup file. You asked, and so I'm answering the question. You might not like my answer, but this is my answer. I know it's longer than you wanted. Again, what's the answer? If it's too long or complicated, use W3M by default and just be happy. The majority of my patch RC is sponsored by. Yeah. Well, we got random people playing Steam games on my Linux machine, not on mine, but so I actually wrote a little README here in my setup, new and improved. Now you can test it as a container. Oh, I forgot about this. Oh, I'm so glad I made a README because I forgot. I totally forgot. If you want to try out my Lynx config, just do docker run.it-rm rdbxrob/lynx. You can actually try it and get used to using it. It does take, my Lynx is designed, no kidding, watch this. My Lynx is optimized for VI and for single hand browsing. And I know that sounds really crazy. Like, why would you ever browse with one hand with a text browser? Think about that for a second. Why browse with Lynx? Right. So search my browser with Lynx. So, watch coffee. Coffee. I'm reading. I'm going back. I'm going down. I'm reading. My hand's not even leaving home row. I'm reading. Ooh, look, there's lots of stuff there. Let's go back. Go down here. Browse links for website. Still reading. This has been a simulation of how to browse with one hand and read stuff while drinking your coffee. Yeah, it's definitely in the ASCII prompt port category. I agree. Rob has, I tab. I love my computer mouse. Don't you say that. All right. Where's the Docker link? You don't need a Docker link, No. Here, I'll show you. Oh boy. My screen key died. I killed my screen key somehow. Oh boy. I've failed on multiple levels. I've failed. My screen keys did. I don't know why. It died. I'll bring it back. So, because Linux. So you get the point, right? So it's in my dot files. What I was trying to show you is that in my dot files, there is a links directory and it has my configurations in it. Right. So here's where, if you go to github.rob.rdbxrob/dot, and then you can go, which is actually linked from my main page if you forget it. The cat ate my mouse. Frank, king of stale trolling dad jokes. Wonderful. That was wonderful. So the links is right here. If you get it, because cat's a command. Lol. I mean, I love it. I want to make a t-shirt about it. Frank, you should make that t-shirt. So links is a thing that is here, and it has a README, and the README has my Docker file in it. I wonder if it works. So you can just do Docker run, and this will actually just run a standard links. The other thing about this too is you can go into it and poke around without ruining your computer, and look at stuff about how, where things live. By the way, we're going to cover Docker when we talk about Linux on Windows. Yeah, I'm going to answer another question that's related to this question called, how do I get Linux on Windows? In other words, how do I get Linux on Windows 10, which is the question. Yeah, the first answer, the answer that is get Linux. And how do you get Linux on Windows 10? So there's kind of another question going on here. I'm going to get to that. So make sure you watch the show notes for that if you want a link to how to do that. The shortest answer is actually not WSL2 in my opinion. It's Docker. So it may be the oldest web browser currently under active maintenance, but it still hands down the single best browser for rapid research. Lynx does not even look at bloated image, CSS, JavaScript when loading, and including tracking. There's no tracking. This is why I don't give a crap. Everybody's like, yeah, I'm being tracked on Google. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't care because I do all my research using Lynx. And then if I get to a page that has a graphic in it or some shit, JavaScript that I have to do, I tap comma and it opens the whole thing in my graphic browser and now I'm there. So I will navigate myself around the web as fast as possible using a text-based browser, Lynx in this case. And then when I get to something that has a really fancy chart, I don't know, like landscape.cncf.io, crazy ass site, by the way. And yeah, I have to pull that up with the graphic browser, and who cares, right? So I'm not against graphic browsers. No, and then. No, and then. This is, that's going to get me banned on YouTube. Okay, so the fastest possible way to browse the text of websites. And when combined with Duck or Google, this is my command line stuff, which is in another video. I've already done videos on that. Command you fill find results of documentation queries and technical documentation as fast as it takes to open a local man page. You really can. So this says to run setup. So you can get away with just running my setup script as long as you have the binaries in the right place and stuff, blah, blah, blah. So again, you should learn, Linux before you jump into Lynx personally. Otherwise, just use W3M. Apt install W3M, the end, and it just works. Otherwise, you got to do some customizations. To do ASCII video, I think there's already one. There's already an ASCII video one. Yeah, you can play Doom in ASCII too. There's like crazy things you can do. Separate conversation completely. I'm starting to think that we are the polar opposite channel of Linus Does Tech. We represent the 0.01% of people who actually like the terminal. I'm still feeling beat up over that. They were like ripping on us, man. They were ripping on the Linux people in that Twitch chat. They're like, those Linux, they're all mean. They think they're so smart. Whiny graphics user on Idiocracy. Okay, never mind. So also have a look at blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so this is how it's installed. It's making in this particular case, it's just making a symlink. Oh, I see what happened. It's symbolically linking the entire config directory for Lynx to here. And this is a common practice. This is a separate video as well. I don't know if I have one on this yet, but put all of your configurations, your customizations. And if you don't like customizing things and configuring things, don't fucking use Linux. Use anything else. Why are you... Okay, stop. Breathe, Rob. Breathe, Rob. Linux is for choice and configuration and opportunity. That's why you use it. You don't use it because you want some consistent thing that's always going to play the games the way you want. Every single game from every single era. If you want something like that, get Windows. Oh my God, get Windows. Of course it's the Windows. All right, little rant over. So home artifacts.rob.config links. And it creates a symbolic link. If you don't know what a symbolic link is, learn it. If you don't want to learn it, don't use Linux. Okay. Am I done now? Did I do that right? Is my mouse in danger? If I see Lynx. Lynx. Oh, because Lynx is a cat. Yeah. Watch. A lot of people didn't know this. Yeah. How many of you knew that Lynx is actually an animal? Lynx the animal. It happens to be a mammal. People are searching for Lynx like, what? There's three different forms of Lynx, including bobcat. Ooh. I think this video's over. So I'm going to end it now. For multi-user, complicated, but worth it, in my opinion. Or just use W3M or your graphic browser, and don't let anybody make you feel bad. You like the rant, G-Log? So then we can go back. So really designed for multi-user. I know. Well, according to the source of all truth, Wikipedia, originally designed for multi-user. So there you go. That's it. I don't have much more to say about that. Did I say still from dot files? I find someone else's config and use it. Yeah, I did. There you go. What else? So W3M would be a thing that you might want to do instead. I'm trying to think, but I'm trying to think, but nothing happens. I'm trying to think. All right. So complicated, but worth it. Not an intuitive configuration. I mean, is there anything else we should say about this? I am live. Yes, we are very live. At least I should be. I'm not. I don't stream to YouTube anymore. That's what you're asking. Done doing that. This video is going to YouTube though, so you can go find it. I don't think there's anything else we have to say about this. There's obviously, I mean, you know, there's obviously a bunch of configuration questions like that. And it takes getting used to, you know, you just be patient. All of this stuff, you know, takes patience. Be patient, be patient, soyez patient, s'il vous plaît. And then you can wait around for that. I really don't have anything else to say about that. Oh, we do need to do another video on Windows 10. So actually, let me make another one right now. Actually, no, I'll wait for that. We'll make another one. I'll edit this one after it gets done. All right, so that's all on that video. Come back and hang out with us and practice. So, you know, come back and practice with us if you have any questions and you can't do something. If you need moral support because you're having a hard time transferring to the terminal. CLI, the cool Lynx interface. Thank you for that. That's what I was wondering. Yeah, do not confuse with Lynx, which is shit. Okay, so I'm going to put it out there. There's Lynx, there's eLynx, there's LYNX, the original, there's W3M. There are a ton of them in B4. I haven't tried that before. Or eLynx, yeah, there's eLynx. Everybody has their favorite, and you can, that's the thing, there's choice. You can pick your own favorite. I hate all of those other ones. I warmed up to W3M. Okay, another thing, I should probably talk about W3M. When the first time I used W3M, I activated inline image simulation. It has a plugin. People keep telling me to use W3M because you want your pictures. So let me just, I'm going to put a note here. It's not about the graphics, right? It's about scanning rapidly. Okay, so if you're going to use a text-based browser, I'm going to end with this. It's about rapid scanning in visually consistent way. When you use a text-based browser, you are throwing all of the advantages of a graphics browser out the window, but you're gaining an advantage. One of the advantages is your eyes. I don't know if you saw when I was browsing, but your eyes can like glaze over things. You learn how many times to click space, to tab down, to go down. You start and all the font is the same size. Oh my God, I cannot tell you. This is like massive reduction in cognitive overhead, in cognitive browsing overhead. This is amazing. I mean, one of the things I hate about the web is that you're browsing it all and everybody's like, hey, do you have to do this font here and that font there? And people are using artistic creativity, which, by the way, was not part of the original web. The original web, the power to maintain, was more like a Kindle. The original power for how to represent a web page, was entirely in the hands of the user. Not the person creating the content. And along come Netscape and everybody like, nah, we're going to give content creators more power. And now you got to sit through like a 25-page click next and watch all these fucking ads in order to even get basic content. And that's the web we have today because of it. Because we gave all the power to the creators and not to the readers, which I think was a massive fail, but it was bound to happen because that's where all the money was. So the reason that I like Lynx is because it levels the playing field when it comes to content. All of the content, it might be run Twitch. No, obviously graphics applications don't, but for data, yes, it will do data mining and stuff like that. So anytime you want to research really quickly and you want your paragraphs to look similarly, and all of that kind of thing. The other really great thing is adding search to it. So I actually have to do this a lot when I do Kubernetes. So if I'm going to do like control plane components in Kubernetes, I do a control plane components in Kubernetes. Kubernetes.io is one of these sites that it's actually good. Part of the problem is it has a menu at the beginning, right? So let's count how many pages I have to hit space, right? So I have to do, space. So I think it's like 16. I've almost got it memorized because I have to go all the way down. But you should start to practice search centricity. This is the principle of searching, of defaulting to search for navigation because it's everywhere, right? And to do the default searching here, I could type /components and it will jump me right to that and it highlights it everywhere. And then I can look for every occurrence of the word component. And if you know what you're looking for, even within the thing, that kind of function, the thing I just did, try that in your graphics browser. You can do it with Control F or with your Vimium or whatever you're going to modify it with, but it's not nearly as fast. And so now I can just scan everything. But you see how my eyes can just glaze over because the fonts are all the same. If I go on a different site, now I'm on a completely different site, right? Font is the same, links are the same color. So this cognitive browsing overhead, the reduction in cognitive browsing overhead is, I cannot overstate the value of that. And you won't appreciate this just listening to me talk about it. You as soon as you start doing research and you start being able to just find things and to do a search, you're like, you just hit your pinky on the slash and you've got that now, right? And you can, scroll down to all the results and look at things differently. I mean, as you can see, my eyes don't even move. I position my eyes in kind of the center of the screen and I take in everything while I'm scanning. And if you've done any kind of graphics browsing, you know that searching for documentation and shit like that is tough. It's tough because you have to go to this and then you have to go to Stack Overflow and you have to scroll down and you're back and forth with your mouse and everything. Whereas when you're doing this, your eyes just glaze over everything and you scan with like wicked fast efficiency. And to me, there's no faster way to do research at all. So I think it's the fastest possible way to do research personally, particularly when you couple it with a command line history. So this is now in my command. So my search history is now combined with my command line history. How's that for cool? Right? So this is my command line history now because I added a cool little, thing, and you can look up how I did that in my dot files. And this is the color palettes. This is Groupbox. I did a video on it. So if I want to modify my search parameters, I actually just modify, control plane and worker nodes, and I can just enter that. And I don't know if you noticed, but in the Twitch, every time I do the search, it's sending the link to the search to the Twitch chat so they can click on it and follow along in their graphic browser. But you can tell that the results are totally different. And so, I mean, that's not what you asked. The person originally asked, how do I set up links on Windows 10? This is, if you're setting it up on Windows 10, then you've got to ask yourself, well, why am I doing this in the first place? So another thing too is it actually Links has a really intense, awesome bookmarking. So, and the bookmarking is very, very, very simple. It's text-based and simple. It's actually a little bit too simple. So you can go to Links bookmarks. This is not, and it's just this HTML file, right? And so it's like really old HTML. Look at this. But what's really cool about this, I don't know if you've ever seen me do this, but so there, like the last one was the malware discovered in NPM, right? So I can actually be in the middle of this and I can use a filter command in Vim, which is, if you're not using filters in Vim, you're not using Vim, period. Okay. So I've made a filter command so I can go grab that last entry and I can go bang, bang, that's the filter, and type links A, and that will grab my last URL from my bookmarks list, because it's just text, people, Unix philosophy, and then it drops it in there, right? So this method of bookmarking allows me to like save a bookmark. It's so easy to save bookmarks too. Watch. Why should I use links? I spelled it wrong. Sorry. Oh, how about, that's good. Let's do this one instead. So why should I use Linux? How about that? 2020. So let's follow this, right? It's like, oh my God, this is such a great thread. I want a copy of it in my notes. So you type, is it D? I can't even remember. My fingers have got it memorized. You ever had that happen? A. So A adds a new link, and I can either add to the current highlighted link or I can add to the current document. Usually I want document. D, it gives this thing here, and that adds it to my bookmarks list. I go over to my stuff here, and now I can bang, bang, links A, which is a filter command that I wrote, and you can just pull it in, and now I've got the link. This is the advantage. I mean, how fast did I do that? If you were doing that in a graphics browser, you'd be cutting and pasting and trying to decide what to do and blah, blah, blah. And I really love that. So that's all part of this wrap up conversation about reduction in cognitive overhead. It's just a massive reduction in cognitive overhead. And then just use when bailing when you want to open in graphic in GUI browser. So that's really important that you do that. You just use comma if you want to do that. Let's try our example again. So let's say this has got quite a thread on it, so I kind of want to read it in the graphic browser. So I push comma, and it opens it up in my graphic browser. And here is this impossible to read website. Look at how tiny the font is. God, if I had to do this, I would like shoot myself. I'm sorry. I mean, no offense, but I go insane watching people browse especially for coding documentation. And people ask me all the time, why don't you use like tab completion in Vim and Go or whatever? And I'm like, because I can find an answer using links with full context faster than most people can get the answer they want in Vim. So for example, I could say Golang FMT, right? So I jump right to the FMT package. I click on it. I'm into it. Boom. I got my answers right here. Or I have a Stack Exchange answer or anything like that. If I had just clicked on or tab for tab completion because I wanted to have completion in my, so this is another reason. It's like really fast. And I can also cut and paste everything from here, and it's direct. It can go right in my code. I mean, you can do that in the other ones, but you know what I'm talking about. If you cut and paste from a graphic browser, a lot of times you get like the rich text crap, like the bold, and end up pasting XML or some crap. No, none of that exists here when you're using text-based browsing. So I mean, it takes getting used to, I'm not going to lie, but it's worth it. And Windows 10. So watch for the video. I'm going to do this next video. We're going to do how to run Linux on Windows 10. I'm going to do a really fast overview. And then if you want to dive into setting it up for yourself, you can follow those other videos on how to do it. Yeah, since you know what I'm talking about with C# Bunny, that's what I'm talking about. The bad thing using links if we do not have HTML style and maybe is a bad read. No, it gets around. No, you don't have styles. No, the only time I've ever been burned by that was when someone didn't follow HTML. That happened on Kubernetes site, actually. The only time I've ever been burned by links, and this happened like last week, actually, Peter, I was on a Kubernetes site that had a code segment that appeared right after another code segment. And it was because the HTML of the web page was bad. And the way they had done it, they were hiding the one. It was a tab. So you click on one tab and get the Linux version. You click, it was like apt install or something. And you go back and forth between the two. And they were both right next to each other, but one was being hidden through the use of JavaScript. And so it didn't flag it as JavaScript and say, hey, you can't do this. It still tried to show it. And it looked like the code was a continuation of that. It's the only time I've ever been burned by links in all the history I've been using it. The other things, like most of the time when you're using links, you're going to run into shit like this. So you're going to go to Quora.com and you're going to realize what a fucking idiot. I did a whole video on this. They are idiots. They are for doing this. They made a text-based question and answer site completely depend on JavaScript. You can't even open it without it. Who is that stupid? Do they not understand progressive web design? And everybody's like, no, they do it on purpose because they want money and they can't make money if they don't have JavaScript. And so they're forcing you to use JavaScript. Okay, fine. But I don't have to use it. I actually kind of got a shit list collected of sites that just are such shit. They're like blogs that have been made to have JavaScript that are unreadable and are not being archived in the web archive because they wanted to put JavaScript in there. I feel better. Hello, I'm still streaming and I'm almost done. My wife just burst in, so I have to wrap up this video I'm recording. I actually have to wrap up a video that I'm recording. I'll be right there. Okay. Hey, just use comma when you want to use a GUI browser. All right, I'm done now. You guys answer, almost done with this question. Does anybody else have a question about this specific thing so I can end the video? Yeah, anyway, so go read about links. You got to practice it. It's not for everybody. I'm not saying you have to use it. No one's making you use it. Don't be angry if I use it. Don't yell at me for using it. Don't say that I'm some old fogey because I use an old text-based browser. Most of the time, people say that, I sip my coffee. I'm like, okay. Let me search another 20 pages while you like fuck around with your mouse. That's all I have to say about that. Bye.